Abraham, you said several times in the past that thoughts don't think. But when Ramana Maharshi suffered from cancer, he is reported to have said that it is the suffering that suffered, not he himself. When the same question was put to Krishna Menon, he said that the sage does not think because sage is thought itself, and the sage does not feel because the sage is feeling itself. In my own experience, I notice that I have no control on the content of thoughts. But I can see how I have been a witness to all thoughts. So for me, it is the thought that thinks, not me, myself. How to make sense out of all this? What do you really mean when you say thoughts don't think? Here is what I mean. Let's say I think of a dog. So I have the thought of a dog. And then I think of going on a vacation. And I have the thought of a vacation. Question: did the thought of a dog created the thought of a vacation? Was it the thought of a dog that was thinking of a vacation? That's what I mean when I say thoughts don't think. If you have thought A followed by thought B, thought A is not the thinker of thought B. That's all. That's all I meant. It seems clear to me that, and I cannot trace back any current thought in the let's take the example I just mentioned. Let's take thought B being the thought of a vacation. One could argue that yes, of course, thought A is the thought of a dog that was just before thought B, and which, because of its proximity to thought B, seemed to be the prime suspect, to be the thinker of thought B. When we think twice about it, when we think twice about it, it seems very unlikely that thought A would be the thinker of thought B. However, you're right that the thought of a dog could be the thinker of a vacation, because it would be a special vacation full of smells and lampposts and now, when we discover that it is unlikely that thought A could be the creator or the thinker of thought B, although it was a prime suspect due to its proximity, we still may have in the back of our mind this possibility that it would be another thought that we have forgotten in the distant past, or another thought other than thought A that would be the thinker of thought B. And most people believe in a very childish way that there is such a thought, that I am a thought. Because they know I am the thinker of my thought, we are the thinker of our thought. They think that the thought I is what they are. and that the thought I is a specular thought that thinks the other thought. In other words, in this process, what they have done, they have killed consciousness, the aliveness, the sentiency of it, and they have made a thought out of it. Thoughts don't think. Thoughts are thought. Now, when we go to what Krishna Menon said, he said something different. He says, what he means is at the time of a thought, there is no thinker of the thought, and there is no thought being thought. There is only thinking. The thinker and the thought are one in our experience of thinking. There is not a duality between the thinker of the thought and the thought. But what is important to recognize is that this reality there, which is in which the thinker and the thought merged, this non-dual experience, is nothing else than the consciousness that spans across all thoughts. So you have the reality of all thoughts, and the thoughts are like plants growing out of this reality, which is the substance of the thought. So the thoughts are made of consciousness. That's what Krishna Menon says. There is no distinction between the thought and consciousness, but it doesn't mean that consciousness is made of thought. It is not a two-way street, it's a one-way street. Thoughts are made of consciousness, but consciousness is not made of thoughts. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, the beings have their roots in me, consciousness. But I don't have, I consciousness, my roots in them, in the beings, in the objects, in the thoughts, in the jivas, in the individual. So that's what Krishna Menon said and meant. When Ramana Maharshi suffered from cancer, he reported to have said that it is the suffering that suffered, not himself. Yes. There is suffering, but there is not a sufferer. A sufferer is a limited entity. A sufferer is a figment of our imagination as a limited entity. That's what he meant. He didn't mean there is no suffering. There is a scene actually in which he was in the kitchen and peeling, cutting vegetables or peeling, and this person who was there asked him, "Are you in pain?" And he just said yes. It was simple. So don't make something very peculiar about teachers. They are subject to pain like everybody else, to physical pain. But he was teaching at the same time that our true nature is behind pain, but the body was in pain. Don't make anything too spooky, too new agey out of it.